And I am now open to all your intelligent and sincere questions. Yes? Do you have a cordless mic here? That's well. Is it? That's not working. Just give me that.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much, Maharaj. I was just wondering, you were explaining at the beginning how you weren't so much in favour of allopathic medicine and how we should just let the body die in its natural course. But then you mentioned also about how the Pandavas, they left their bodies by walking and not taking food and drink and just dropped, basically, at that point. So I was once involved in looking after one devotee who was leaving their body, and there was a whole debate going on amongst devotees that you can't stop drinking and eating because that's suicide. This person was terminally ill anyway, because that's suicide, and that's like a desire for liberation. So better that you continue and just let the disease take its course, I suppose. So I was just wondering, is like walking and fasting and not taking, is that a bona fide way for us in this day and age?
Yeah. You see, the problem with suicide is just a sudden termination of life. Whereas this gradual acceptance of, the process of leaving the body is not really suicide. This is bona fide according to the Vedic understanding. Like as you saw, the Pandavas did. Another consideration is prayopavishan. This is called Mahaprasthan, the great departure. Like they're, giving up the body, like after all, so it is the matter of soul's connection to the body. And suicide is all of a sudden you terminate that connection. And that causes one to remain in the subtle body without getting gross body. So that is undesirable. But this is authorized. Another way of doing it is prayopavishan. Prayopavishan, that's what Parikshit Maharaj was doing. He sat down without taking food and drink, sleeping, and being absorbed in hearing about Krishna's pastimes. So, this is a kind of way to prepare for departure. There is another way of doing, like this is happening when one is about to leave his body. Like this is called Antarjali Jatra. When one sees that now he is going to leave his body, he tells her, please take me to the Ganges. And he leaves his body half submerged in the water of the Ganges. So in Vedic culture, you see, leaving the body is not a very painful affair or miserable affair. Leaving the body is a course of our life, like it's a natural happening. And it is done with a specific purpose. Like for example, Parikshit Maharaj sat in prayopavishan. When he got to know 7 days he has left, okay, let me prepare for that. It's a kind of a preparation. Another consideration is when King Indradumna felt that he committed a great offense, that Lord's form was to manifest, and he actually hindered that process by breaking his promise, untimely entering into the room when the sculptor had a condition that no one would enter until the form is complete. So then he felt so guilty that he decided to give up his body. And he also sat in prayer position. But of course his case was different. He stayed there like that for 3 days. But then the Lord appeared to him and said, don't think that this form is incomplete. I am eternally manifesting in spiritual sky in this form. So worship me in this form. So there are many such instances in the Vedas like that. Thank you. Yes, Vijay.
Thank you, Maharaj. In one of your classes before, I heard you say, I'll try and remind you, I don't even know how to say this, but it had to do with the alphabet. Pa. Any person, it had to do with the alphabet. A spiritual person will not be bothered by certain problems. Yeah, Maharaj?
Yeah, that is called Pa-varga. Pa-varga is the way we exist in the material nature. The Pa-varga, you see the Vedic alphabets has vargas like Ka-varga, Cha-varga, Ta-varga, Ta-varga and Pa-varga. Like Ka-varga is Ka, Kha, Ga, Gha, Ma. Cha-varga, Cha, Cha, Ja, Ja, Ya. Then Ta-varga, then Ta-varga, and then Pa-varga. These are the 5 vargas. And Pa-varga consists of Pa, Fa, Ba, Bha, Ma. So this way there are 5 vargas in consisting of 5. So that's 25. So this Pa-varga, Pa, Fa, Ba, Bha, Ma signify each word, each letter of the varga is signifying something. Pa-varga means parishram, unnecessary endeavor or rather strenuous endeavor. In the material nature, to survive, one has to work so hard. Then that leads to Fa. Fa means fena. Starts to foam in his mouth. Due to excessive work, he starts to foam in the mouth. And Ba stands for Byartha, useless. All this hard work is Byartha, futile. Then Bha, fear. Then, like one realizes that, well, death is approaching and, I did not really prepare myself. Everything that I have done is total waste of time. And then finally, Ma, Mrityu, death. So these 5 vargas signify these 5 aspects of our life in this material nature. And spiritual life makes it awe. Awe means negation. Total negation of all these pas, pa-varga. When one becomes a devotee, then he is not subjected to these 5 aspects. And finally, Mrityu. A devotee doesn't die. Devotee simply changes his body for a better one. And then finally he goes back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. Yes?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, you talked about the sacrifice that lasted for a full 1 year in the front of 60,000 sages.
Yeah.
What did they actually sacrifice for a full year?
They were performing the havan. Sacrifice means havan. That, to please the Lord, they perform this sacrifice. And it creates a good effect. And they thought that good effect will purify the earth from its adverse influence of the age of Kali. But then Sukadeva Goswami came and spoke Srimad Bhagavatam and pointed out that is the way to purify the atmosphere. And Bhagavatam is ultimately going to the transcendental glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or Sankirtan.
So it was just purely havan.
That's the purest of all havans, chanting the holy name of the Lord. Jaggai Sankirtanam Praya. That is the Sankirtan Jagga is the most effective Jagga of this age.
Thank you.
Yes, Radharani?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj, thank you for remembering Priyavrata Prabhu this morning, because I'm sure he'll be here with us. We're so always attached to your seminars and so on. Guru Maharaj, my question is, I was listening to you giving an example of strewing pearls in front of pigs. So immediately my thought came, I can relate to myself, that I've come to this movement and I'm just now content that I'm under this umbrella of shelter. But how do I prevent my mentality from becoming that of the pig, where I'm just not appreciating this wonderful pearl that I'm being given? And how can I continue to maintain the enthusiasm and remain motivated? What is there to motivate me to continue to want to listen, to continue to want to chant, to continue to want to endeavor to make progress? How can I do that?
Well, yeah, had you been continuing for the last 25 years?
I think it's just going, sometimes I feel I'm just going through the motions.
Just carry on. And the secret of success actually is listening to the glory of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the association of devotees. That's why we organize this program, so that, we can hear Krishna Katha in the association of devotees. Just being in the association of devotees creates that opportunity, creates that conviction, creates that impetus. Aren't you happy being here with so many devotees?
Definitely, Guru Maharaj, but I'm thinking like to develop that taste, because we bombarded with so much things around us in this material world, which is designed to just distract us.
So stay in a conducive atmosphere where the bombardment is not going on. Right? So these are don't become affected by that. You see, that's what the association of devotee does. The bombardment may be there, but the association of devotees create the shelter. The bombing is going on, but you have an air raid shelter. Right? So association of devotees like that. Doesn't it happen? Say, you are being affected by the influence of this material nature. But when you're in the association of devotees, don't they give you the support and say, don't become affected by that? Don't forget what a wonderful gift Srila Prabhupada has given. And this association of devotees become more effective when we read Srila Prabhupada's books. So these are the arrangements to counteract that. Association of devotees, reading Prabhupada's books, being engaged in spiritual activities, on top of everything, chanting the holy name of the Lord. Like Prabhupada gave us the assurance that if you chant the holy name of the Lord, you will get all the protection. And didn't Krishna give that assurance? Devi Hesha Gunamai Mama Maya Durattaya. Extremely difficult to overcome. Impossible to surmount. But Mame Vaja Prapadanti, one who takes shelter of me, Maya Metam Tarantite. He or she will become, remain unaffected by the onslaughts of Maya. Thank you. Suman?
Guru Maharaj, can Mahatma Gandhi's fasting and sacrifice, can that be considered a type of prohibition as well?
Good point. Yeah. The thing is, this fasting is not what really matters. It is the objective behind that, or objective ahead of that. What he was trying to fast for. Like to open a shop. He didn't fast when the condition came of dividing India into two nations on the basis of so-called religion. He should have fasted till death at that time. then probably the Indian situation would have been better today.
What were the Pandavas' objective in their...
Krishna left, so what's the point in staying here? So their objective was Krishna conscious. Krishna left, so what's the point in staying here now? Now, let's just do that. So that, we can reunite with him again. Actually, their condition was, or consideration was, that we came here to assist Krishna in his pastimes here. Now that he left, what's the point in staying here? That was their objective. Some hands went up here. Okay, Archana.
Hare Krishna. You were reminding us at the beginning how fortunate we were because in this Kali Yuga, Srila Prabhupada came just after the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I was wondering what happened in the age when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu come and Srila Prabhupada doesn't. What happened to this conditioned soul? Because after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu come...
Okay. So Mahaprabhu came along with his associates, distributed Krishna consciousness, and for 200 years it was going on quite nicely after Mahaprabhu's disappearance. But then there was a decline. Mahaprabhu's teachings practically disappeared. Meaning people are not able to take advantage of Mahaprabhu's appearance. Then came Bhakti Vinod Thakur and started the revival. Then came Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he distributed all over India. Then came Prabhupada, distributed all over the world. And it will continue to be distributed more and more. That's what is happening. Like when Prabhupada was here, Prabhupada's followers were about 10,000. But now, all over the world, in the millions. And as the time progresses, the number will increase. That means, the arrangement that Srila Prabhupada made, now Krishna consciousness is going to spread unhindered all over the world. All right. For those, they were kind of in a limbo at that time. That was not really the good time to come. Before Prabhupada came, I'll say before Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Because in the Western world it was not available to begin with. But in India also it was not available. Or people are not fortunate enough to take advantage. But then when Prabhupada came, not only in India that good fortune was created, all over the world. So what happened to those, we don't worry about. What we're going to do now, that's what really matters. Yes?
Thank you, Maharaj. So yoga is meant to reconnect with the Supreme, and you make the analogy at the beginning that while the finger being cut off from the body, this is useless. But the finger is never a individual part, but it's, at the contrast, the scripture always said we are a individual spirituality. So how can we explain that, and how to refute the argument that why we have to connect with this?
You see, analogy doesn't cover the whole thing. Analogy is not exactly that situation. Analogy is there to give an example. Just as if the finger is cut off from the body, does the finger have any value? Similarly, just as when a living entity becomes separated from the Lord, what is his existence like? Is it meaningful or meaningless? Okay, but there is still some meaning, because finger is not conscious, right? Whereas the living entity is conscious. The relationship between a finger and the body is not a conscious relationship. The finger cannot think, I want to be connected to the body. When he's separated, the finger cannot think that, well, how can I be connected to the body? But a spirit soul can. So that is the difference. Because spirit soul is conscious and he has the ability to consciously decide what he wants to do. Right? Like, can't you decide now whether you're going to be connected to Krishna or not?
Yes.
Okay. that's the
How to
difference.
refute the argument? Well, like the scripture always emphasizes the spirit soul have its individuality, so why we have to connect with the supreme? Like, wow.
Yeah, okay, good point. Like when the spirit soul is separated from the Lord, then the spirit soul realizes he is suffering. Right? Does the spirit soul can feel whether he is enjoying or suffering? Can you feel whether you are enjoying or suffering? So when you are suffering, what do you want to do? When you are suffering, you want to relieve yourself from the suffering condition. Then somebody comes and tells you that, look, become connected to Krishna. Then all your suffering will disappear. Then what will you do? Yeah. So that is the independence that you have due to your freedom. Thank you. Yes, Krishna Purna.
Guru Maharaj, in the beginning you were speaking about allopathic, not accepting allopathic treatment. But I was just thinking, that is out of choice. Like with Haramasa Prabhu, he didn't have to go through the operation. He could have been left his body chanting and preparing himself. I can understand it. But if actually a mother is giving birth and having difficulty, then they would say we'll have operation to do. Then how do we deal with that?
Well, when the advantage is there, take advantage. But at the same time, be careful about the adverse effect that may be there. That's the thing. Like the thing is, say, you see, that's the way that's the way Prabhupada wanted us to face this world today. All the advantage that today's world is offering, we take it. Take advantage of that. But for Krishna consciousness. Like, modern, technological development gave us so many wonderful opportunities, like a microphone, right in front of me. We are taking advantage of it. Then internet, telephone, all this, we are not saying we don't want. There are groups of people who completely shun themselves from that. When you go to California, when you go to Pennsylvania, you see some people, a group of people they call Amish. They just live the way they were living, say, 300 years back. They don't use motor cars. They have horse-driven carriages. They dress the same way that they used to dress. They till the land with horses and so forth. But we are not like that. It's okay. If the tractor is there, okay, we'll use it. What to speak of cars, we even fly aeroplanes to go to different places. But the objective is to spread Krishna consciousness. So similarly, if through allopathic, as I said, it did a lot of good things. They advanced quite a lot, made a remarkable advancement. But, we must utilize it in a proper way. The real science of medicine, real medical science is actually Ayurveda. But at the same time, we are taking advantage of modern things, facilities, some patient comes, for example, we have Ayurvedic clinic in Ujjain, set up an Ayurvedic clinic, and we use MRI scans or X-rays to figure out, But an Ayurvedic expert, may not need all those facilities. The basis of Ayurveda, see how scientific, because it's a Veda, Ayurveda, the Veda of life science, you can say. Just the basic principles of Ayurveda is out of 5 elements, the human body, the 3 elements are active, predominant in the human body. Those 3 elements are out of 5. 5 is what? Earth, water, fire, air, ether. But in the body, water, fire and air, these 3 are predominant. And when these 3 elements are functioning in harmony, then the body is healthy. So whenever there is some, ailment in the body, then it is due to the imbalance of these 3 things. And the Ayurvedic doctor masters the art of feeling your pulse and recognizing which aspect has gone wrong. And they just feel your pulse with 3 fingers, and 3 fingers from your pulse, they can see the earth, the water aspect, fire aspect, and air aspect. And they're called kapha, pitta, and vayu. The impurities, the imbalance in water causes kapha, fire causes pitta, and air causes vayu. So this is, they don't need scanners and things, Like they just by feeling the pulse can tell you what's wrong with your body. And then the other aspect of the science is, nature has provided cure for every disease. And they master the art for which medicine, which is a cure for which disease. And then they apply it. So tell me which one is more scientific. Yeah, right. And that's why, we have the responsibility to revive that science. To tell you frankly, I didn't believe in Ayurveda, 10 years back. Well, not even 10 years, I'll say 5 years back. But then within this 5 years, going through this treatment and seeing what it does, I have been forced to accept it or believe in it. Okay, so it's 1 o'clock. Okay, last question. Yeah, Mother.
I don't have a question. I just would like to say something. I think Radharani was speaking. It was Radharani, right? That she has some difficulties now in spiritual life, right? I don't know. It was Radharani, right?
Yes.
Right.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay, I thought you were talking about I was trying to recall where Radharani spoke about. Yeah, okay, sure. Go ahead.
She explained that she has some difficulties now in spiritual life. Is right?
Yeah. She's just saying it. Yes.
Right. So I just recently was reading that this material world is extremely difficult to understand, but sages are saying that this place is not acceptable and we should give up and go back to Godhead. And also Krishna himself is saying in Bhagavad Gita that this place is full of miseries. So I was wondering that sometimes we spend gallons of blood to preach a person, and person is not convinced. So, and Srila Prabhupada explained why it is happening like that. He said that intelligent person and fortunate person only by reading and hearing from devotees and saintly person, even don't experiencing so much suffering, understand that there's nothing else to do on this planet, only surrender to God and try to go back to Godhead. That is fortunate person. But mostly Prabhupada said people are not so fortunate and they have to go through terrible suffering. And after this terrible suffering, they understand that is only one way to surrender. So if Prabhupada explained that yes, you spend gallon of blood to preach the person, but if person doesn't suffer enough in this material world, so eventually has to take again this nectar in material universe. And after that, we surrender.
Good. So what should Radharani do now? Anyway, she made the decision. She realized the suffering condition and she surrendered to Krishna. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mother Kulangana. Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, the next session will be 4:30.